for a lot of people, nothing gets you motivated in the morning like listening to a good mix of music that you love. And you want proof of this? Take a look to see what's trending on Monday mornings on YouTube in the United States as people get on their way for the official beginning of the work week for most people. What will you find? Well, you'll find that the search term My Mix is a really popular one. And My Mix tells the YouTube algorithms to generate a playlist, a mix of songs that it thinks you're going to like, or a song based around songs that you've listened to on YouTube, of course. On today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, I'm going to talk about where this whole idea of this mix to motivate you to at work or outside of work or just to have fun and listen to music and dance for a long time without having to stop. That's all in the mix for today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, only on YouTube. If you've been enjoying Life's Potluck Buffet, please subscribe. And if you subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. If you have a Brave browser, you can now contribute basic attention tokens to Life's Potluck Buffet with John Paulus on YouTube. Thank you for your support. And thank you, as always, for listening. Our story begins today in 1893, when George Owen Squier, a U.S. Army soldier, became the first soldier in the U.S. Army to earn a doctoral degree. And Squier got a doctoral degree from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, in the nascent field of electrical engineering. And in doing so, Squier would do a couple of things without which that My Mix search in the morning on YouTube would not be possible. One of those things has to do with music and medleys. The other thing has to do with the way that the internet is delivered to homes and offices and the thing that connects the internet around the world. And so let's start with that one. George Owen Squier, who became eventually a major general in the U.S. Army. Well, when he was a major in around 1910, he came up with the idea of what is called multiplexing. And what is multiplexing? Multiplexing is what enables all of the different signals that need to come and go to deliver your mix and not someone else's mix to your device. Well, the idea of multiplexing is what allows for that. Multiplexing is being able to send many signals, discrete signals, across the same line or wire. And that technology was used early on in telephone communications to be able to use telephone wire, one wire, to transmit all of the different phone calls that were going on in that wire. And that wire goes individually into a box in everybody's house or business or wherever. And then that box connects you to the connects to your telephone receiver, and that was the original idea behind how this multiplexing would work. And without it, every single phone call would have to have its own line, because you couldn't send multiple signals through the lines that are underground or on telephone poles. Those they could, that one line that runs across that pole or underground, that has to carry all the signals of the phone calls that it's delivering. And the same thing is true for fiber optic cables and the internet. And the same thing is also true for cable television that is delivered through cables. That is also what allows one cable to deliver that many signals to all of those people. So multiplexing is pretty important if you don't want to have to run, say, 27 million lines into Tokyo to deliver telephone calls or cable or internet. Now, that, of course, results in the ability to do the kind of personalized communications that we do. It also allows for the ability to have personalized programming sent through a line or wire. And this is another area that George Owen Squire was a pioneer in, and that was the area of sending a musical signal through electrical wires. And so because that musical signal was sent through the electrical wires, it enabled people to have musical programming brought into their home into special receivers made to play that music to the people who receive the signal in a form that people understand, namely sound waves. Squire even created a business around the piping of music into people's homes and also then into offices and into places like even like elevators in the office buildings. And he called the company, in imitation of the photo company Kodak, he called the company Muzak. And Muzak became a leading supplier of music to places of work and places of originally people's residences, but really its commercial uses became more important in office buildings and even in elevators. And that's where we get the idea of elevator music and so forth. And this is all down to George Owen Squire's ideas, inventions, and businesses that made these popular. Now, most of that music all of that music was a collection of, was a medley of music. And medley comes from the same words that our word mix comes from in English. So medley and mix are actually the same word. It's just, they come from different historical forms of the same basic word. And that means to mix. And so those medleys were crafted into a thing that became known as stimulus progression. And the idea was kind of similar to what I talked about at the beginning of this episode, where it was to get people kind of stimulated to do work, and it was made to progress from various moods and so forth, so that people in the mid morning when people were kind of like flagging, or in the mid afternoon when you're really flagging, it was kind of doing the job that coffee also does. It was doing that job musically. So there was actually some thought and a lot of studies that went behind Muzak programming. And the one thing that makes it similar to the programming of my mix, the algorithmically generated programming of my mix or your mix, is that there are pauses between songs. It wasn't really until the 1970s, or actually around 1974, where we see the increase in a different type of mix, which is a mix for dance parties at dance clubs called, at the time, discotheques. And those mixes, which were done by using reel-to-reel recorders, presented what we now would call a DJ mix, a DJ set, where there's no pause between songs, that they're seamlessly mixed together and used for keeping the dance party going. There's no doubt about that, where you don't have the end of a song and then a pause and so forth, as you had before, and as you have with Muzak, and also My Mix. My Mix pauses between each song. Obviously, you can't create. That would be really cool if someone, if it may, maybe that if YouTube did My Party Mix, where it combined the two formats, that would be pretty cool. I would really like that. So now let's ask the cards what's in the mix for us today in our work and lives. You ready, cards? Yellow lemons, blue dumplings, magenta noodles. Cards, tell us some things. It's card 39. Treat others' work as their possessions. We all have our jobs to do, and nothing is more annoying than when unasked we take it upon ourselves to do someone else's work. By doing so, we are stealing away a little bit of accomplishment from that person. It's like having an annoying tennis doubles partner who poaches all of your shots, right? Well, So be considerate and let others do their work. Now, think about ways in which this has affected your life, ways in which you have what on Life's Potluck Buffet we call micro-poaching, that you have micro-poached someone else's work. Think about why you preferred to do that other work instead of your own, and that will give you a sense of something that you need to do in your work and life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow on Life's Potluck Buffet.